The sun was soft and golden in the sky. It peeked through the white curtains and gently touched Rachel's face. She sat on her bed, smiling as she looked out the window. Her eyes sparkled like little stars. The sun always made her feel warm and happy, like God was sending her a hug. Rachel was only 19 years old, but she looked so grown and graceful. Her hair was packed neatly, and her dress was simple but clean and beautiful. Her room was small, with light pink walls and a wooden wardrobe in the corner. A tiny cross hung above her bed, and beside it, a picture of Mary, the mother of Jesus. Rachel loved that picture. It made her feel safe. She got up and stretched her arms. "Today is going to be a good day," she said softly to herself. Her heart felt light. She had a secret dream. A big one. She wanted to become a Reverend sister. She had been a parishioner at St. Michael's Catholic Church for 3 years, always helping in the church, setting the altar, arranging the candles, and learning from the sisters. Every time she walked into the chapel, she felt close to heaven. Rachel picked up her broom and started sweeping the floor. She hummed her favorite hymn, "Here I Am, Lord." The sound filled the room like sunshine. She cleaned under the bed, wiped her table, and carefully folded her clothes. She was fast but gentle, never rushing. Her mother had taught her to do everything with care. As she walked, she thought about the sisters at the convent. They were kind and peaceful. She remembered Sister Clara, who always smiled at her and said, "Rachel, you have a pure heart. God sees you." That memory made Rachel smile even more. She wanted to serve God fully. Not just on Sundays, but every day. She wanted to wear the white veil, live in the convent, and help people with her prayers and love. Rachel's apartment was small but cozy. It was part of a building behind the church, made for those who wanted to become priests or Reverend sisters. Rachel shared the building with 4 other girls who, like her, were training to become Reverend sisters. There was Peace, who loved to sing hymns, Anna, who read her Bible every night, Joy, who smiled all the time, and Lillian, who was very shy but kind. The 5 of them became close like sisters. They did everything together, cleaned the chapel, helped the priests, read spiritual books, and attended classes taught by the older nuns. Even though Rachel missed her real home sometimes, she didn't feel lonely. Her mother visited often. She would come in the afternoons, carrying a basket filled with food and little gifts, a fresh wrapper, a bag of rice, a tin of milk, sometimes even a new rosary. Her mother never came empty-handed. "My Rachel," her mother would say, hugging her tightly, "I'm so proud of you. God is watching, and He will bless you for this path you've chosen." Rachel would smile and hold her mother's hand. "Pray for me, Mama. I want to be strong." The truth was, Rachel loved it here. She loved waking up to the sound of hymns. She loved the peaceful morning prayers in the chapel, the laughter she shared with the other girls, and the kindness of the priest and sisters. The congregation adored her too. The women in the church would often pat her back and say, "God's light is on you, Rachel." Some people even asked her to pray for their sick family members or bless their children. Rachel never let it get to her head. She stayed humble, always remembering that this was God's work, not hers. But sometimes, when she lay on her bed at night staring at the ceiling, she wondered, would she really make it all the way? Could she keep this joy forever? She didn't know that soon everything would be shaken. A few months later, something changed in the parish, something big. A new priest was assigned to their church. His name was Father Gabriel. He came from another state, and no one knew much about him at first. But from the moment he stepped onto the altar and raised his voice in prayer, everyone could feel something different. He was young, tall, and calm, with a soft but powerful voice that carried through the church like music. His words were simple but deep, like they came from somewhere higher. His first sermon was about love, true love, the kind that forgives, the kind that never gives up. By the time he finished speaking, many people were wiping tears from their eyes. Rachel had been sitting in the front row with the other Parisian girls. She had never heard anyone speak like that before. It felt like Father Gabriel's words were reaching into her heart, like he could see inside her soul. She felt warm, like something inside her heart shifted. She couldn't explain it, but she knew this priest was different. Within a few weeks, the whole church was talking about him. Some said he was anointed. Others said he carried grace. He visited the sick without being asked and smiled at everyone like they were family. He made sure the choir practiced hard. He cleaned the altar himself when no one was around. Nothing was too small for him. And he never raised his voice. Instead, he always said, "Let's do it with love." Rachel respected him deeply. Every time she saw him walk into the chapel, her heart would beat a little faster, not from fear, but something else. Something new. Something she didn't want to name. The congregation was overjoyed. They said God had sent them a light. But light, sometimes, cast shadows. And soon, Rachel's peaceful world would begin to tremble in ways she never saw coming. Months passed, and Father Gabriel continued to shine like a bright star in the parish. Every Sunday, the church was full, even the chairs outside were taken. People came not just for Mass, but to hear him speak. His words gave hope. His smile gave peace. Mothers brought him food after service. Children ran to hug him. Youths followed his advice like it came straight from heaven. Rachel admired him like everyone else. She often helped him arrange the chapel for early morning Mass and stayed back after service to tidy things up. Whenever he passed by, he always greeted her with, "God bless you, Rachel," and she would smile back with respect. But slowly, quietly, something began to change. Some of the girls in the House of Hope started acting differently. Joy, who used to laugh a lot, now stayed quiet. Anna looked tired all the time. Peace avoided eye contact. Rachel noticed it, but didn't ask questions. She thought maybe they were tired from church work or fasting. Then one night, after a long evening Mass, Rachel was sweeping the hallway when she saw Father Gabriel walking toward the girls' quarters. He had his Bible in one hand and a calm look on his face. He stopped in front of Anna's door, knocked lightly, and stepped inside. Rachel paused. It wasn't strange to see a priest visit someone, especially a kind priest like Father Gabriel. He cared about everyone. Maybe Anna needed counseling or prayers. It could be anything. The next night, it happened again. This time, he visited Lillian. Another night, peace. Another, joy. Each time, no one said anything. No one dared. He was Father Gabriel, kind, powerful, loved by the whole congregation. Who would question him? Rachel brushed the thoughts away. Maybe he's just checking on us, she told herself. Maybe he's praying with them. But the silence in the house began to feel heavy. Soon, whispers began to rise like smoke in the parish. At first, they were quiet, a side glance here, a hushed voice there. But the whispers didn't go away. Instead, they grew louder in people's hearts, even if their lips stayed sealed. Members of the congregation began to wonder why Father Gabriel often walked into the sisters' quarters late at night. Why was he always visiting the young girls alone, especially those training to become Reverend sisters? Still, no one dared to speak up. Not openly. After all, this was Father Gabriel, the one who prayed with power. Who could question him? One cool evening, after a quiet Mass, Rachel was in her room reading her Bible when she heard a knock. It was gentle but firm. She opened the door. "Good evening, Rachel," Father Gabriel said with his usual warm smile. "Good evening, Father," she replied, stepping aside politely. He sat on the small chair in her room while she remained standing, unsure. "I just came to check on you," he said. "You've been doing well lately." Your devotion is strong. He then spoke about the scriptures, about obedience, humility, and dedication. He even reminded her of how special it was to be chosen by God, and how she must never let anything distract her from her calling. Rachel felt honored. She listened carefully, even wrote some things down after he left. And he came again. Once a week. Twice. Sometimes 3. Each time, he talked about holy things. He made her feel seen. Encouraged. She never questioned it. He was a priest. A man of God. But then, one night, everything changed. He came into her room like before. But this time, his voice was softer. Too soft. His eyes didn't hold scripture. They held something else, something that made Rachel's stomach twist. He told her she was special to him. That she had a beautiful spirit. That God sometimes brings two people close for a higher reason. Then he asked her to do something. Something unholy. Something that made her heart stop. She stepped back, shaken. Father, please. I don't understand, this is not right. He moved closer. Rachel, he said calmly, don't speak to anyone about this. You don't want to destroy your future. I won't, she whispered, trembling. But I can't do what you're asking. His smile faded. If you don't, he said slowly, you will lose everything. You won't become a reverend sister. I'll make sure of it. Think about your mother, how disappointed she will be when you're sent away. Rachel froze. Tears filled her eyes. She felt like the air had been taken from the room. He stood up and walked out quietly, leaving behind a girl whose heart had never been so heavy. She sat on her bed in the darkness. A war had started inside her. And she had no idea who to turn to. Rachel became a shadow of herself. The once bright, cheerful girl who woke up singing hymns now moved quietly like someone walking on broken glass. She didn't tell anyone what happened that night, not even Peace, not even her own mother. How could she? What would she say? That the beloved priest everyone adored had forced her into something shameful. Who would believe her? She was afraid. Afraid of being called a liar. Afraid of being cast out of the church. Afraid of breaking her mother's heart. So she said nothing. She smiled when she had to, nodded during prayers, and cleaned the chapel like before. But inside, Rachel was bleeding. Every time she looked at the altar, guilt filled her. Every time she heard someone call Father Gabriel a man of God, something inside her wanted to scream. And yet, it didn't stop. Weeks passed. Father Gabriel kept coming. Sometimes with words of scripture. Sometimes with flowers from the church garden. Sometimes just with silence. Rachel tried to resist again, but the fear always came back louder. You'll be sent away if you disobey me, he had warned. And she believed him. That night, when she finally gave in, it felt like something inside her died. He told her it was love. He told her it was between them and God understood. He said she was chosen. But Rachel knew in her heart, it wasn't love. It was something else. Something dark. And it didn't stop with her. She soon noticed that the other girls became even quieter. Lillian avoided eye contact completely. Joy no longer smiled. Anna was barely eating. Rachel knew what it meant. He was still visiting them too. One by one. The house of hope became a house of silent pain. Each of the girls held their own secret battle. Each of them smiled on the outside, but their hearts were heavy with confusion, guilt, and fear. They couldn't speak. They couldn't run. They were trapped. By shame. By silence. By a man no one dared to question. One morning, Rachel couldn't get out of bed. Her head throbbed. Her body felt weak. Her mouth was dry. She thought it was just tiredness. Within 2 days, all the girls who had once been full of life were too weak to attend morning Massachusetts. The other aspiring sisters became worried. The matron quickly informed the parish leaders, and without delay, the sick girls were taken to the Catholic Church hospital in the city. Rachel lay on the hospital bed, staring at the ceiling as nurses moved quietly from room to room. They took their blood. They asked questions. They gave them drips and medicines. But no one really knew what was wrong yet. Whispers rose again. Some said it was malaria. A few even said it was spiritual warfare, that the devil was trying to stop the girls from serving God. But no one was ready for what the test results revealed. 3 days later, a calm-looking doctor stepped into the girls' ward, holding a file tightly in his hands. His face was serious, almost too still. He called the matron aside. Then the parish priest. Then the hospital chaplain. By the next morning, the whole compound buzzed with shock. The truth had exploded like thunder on a dry day. Rachel, Joy, Lillian, Anna. All of them were pregnant. The doctor had checked 3 times. There was no mistake. When the news hit the church, it spread like wildfire. Whispers turned to cries. Prayers turned to panic. How could this happen? How could girls training to become Reverend sisters end up like this? All at once. All under the same roof. Many felt sick with anger. Mothers in the congregation began to cry. Fathers clenched their fists. Some refused to believe it. Others said the girls had been lying about who they really were. But a few, a quiet, hurting few, began to connect the dots. Late-night visits. Sudden changes in behavior. Girls who had once been full of light now walk with bowed heads. And one man who had been in all their rooms. The same man who stood behind the pulpit each Sunday, raising holy hands. The truth was near. The storm had only just begun. The air inside the hospital was heavy. Priests from far and near came to visit. Parents rushed in from different towns, their faces filled with confusion, fear, and shame. The church elders held long closed-door meetings. But no matter how many candles they lit or how many rosaries they prayed, the truth stood like a mountain in the middle of them all, unshakable, undeniable. The Pope himself arrived. He was an old man with wise eyes and a heart heavy with sorrow. He sat down with each of the girls, one after the other, asking soft, kind questions. Not forcing, not judging, just listening. Rachel could barely hold back her tears as she told him everything. How it started. How she tried to say no. How he threatened her. And how the visits never stopped. She wasn't alone. One by one, the other girls broke their silence. Their stories were nearly the same: a kind smile, late-night visits, soft words wrapped in scripture, and then pain, shame, and fear. They all said his name. Father Gabriel. When the final confession was written and signed, the room was filled with a deep silence, the kind of silence that follows a storm, right before everything breaks. The Pope stood with the high priest. They were all dressed in white, their faces dark with grief. He didn't need to say much. The decision was made. Father Gabriel was summoned to the main chapel of the hospital. He came in dressed in his priestly robes, trying to look calm, but his eyes flicked nervously from face to face. The Pope looked him in the eye. "You were called to lead," he said softly. "Not to destroy." Gabriel opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. "You are hereby dismissed from your duties," the Pope said. "And you will answer to the law." Gasps filled the room. 2 police officers stepped forward. Without a single word, they took him by the arms and led him away. Rachel watched as the man who once made her tremble in fear walked through the hospital halls like a common criminal. No more holy robes. No more smiles. Just silence and handcuffs. The doors shut behind him with a loud clang. And just like that, the mask fell. But even though justice had begun, the pain still remained. Because the damage was deep. And healing had only just begun. The parish was never the same again. The once joyful chapel, filled with the laughter of children and the warm voices of choirs, now echoed with silence. People walked in quietly, eyes cast low, hearts still hurting from the truth they had uncovered. Some couldn't bear it, the shame, the betrayal, the broken trust. They left and never came back. Many mothers, once proud to see their daughters in white veils, now pulled them away. No more, they said. You will not go back there. Even though Father Gabriel was gone, his shadow still lingered. His actions left deep scars, not only in the lives of the girls but in the heart of the church itself. Rachel sat on her hospital bed, watching the news about the case on a small television. Her mother sat beside her, holding her hand, silently wiping away tears. I'm sorry, Mama, Rachel whispered. Her mother shook her head gently. You did nothing wrong, my child. You were only trying to serve God. It was hard, but slowly, the girls began to heal. Doctors visited. Counselors came. The Pope sent letters of encouragement and promised change. They started a new program to protect girls in the church. But the road to trust was long, and the memory of what happened would never fully disappear. The story of Rachel and her friends became a story shared far and wide, not to shame them, but to warn others, to open eyes, and to break the silence that had kept many in pain. And now, dear viewer, thank you for watching my video today. I hope you learned a valuable lesson from this emotional and heartbreaking story. Please remember, sometimes, evil hides in the places we least expect. But the truth, no matter how painful, will always come to light. If this is your first time here, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video to support my channel. Until next time, stay safe, stay strong, and always speak out when something doesn't feel right.